Okay, hello. I'm going to be driving while I do this review. It's kind of like the Paranormal Activity review. So, we just got done seeing Deliver Us from Evil. Why is my light already on? I don't know. Just pulled up earlier. So, Deliver Us from Evil. It's by the same guy that directed Sinister and The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I've been getting that trailer a couple times. I didn't really have any thoughts about it when I saw it. It kind of just looked to me like a generic possession, paranormal thriller, kind of same old stuff. But I decided to go see it, and here's what I'll say. Putting it simply, it's a flawed movie. There's a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of things that don't... Oh, yeah, that's right. That can't work. It's a flawed movie. There's a lot of things about it that don't work. And there are aspects of it that really didn't need to be there, but they were there. And because they were there, they damaged the film. But at the end of the day, I thought it was actually a pretty scary movie. I thought it had some really scary moments. I thought the characters, especially the two main protagonists, were very well written, and the two actors did a good job playing them.
Shoot, I thought the wife.
She was good.
She was very good.
Even the kid was fine.
Even the kid didn't have enough airtime to mess with it. But I thought supporting characters and secondary characters.
Yeah,
very well.
and it has some creepy imagery, and the plot is nothing special. It is supposedly based on a true story, or at least true events. And that's, hearsay. That's either here nor there. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to give much input on that. But ultimately, you know what? This was okay. It was satisfying. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's not a great film, but it's certainly not terrible. It could have been a lot worse, and I know that's not like an excuse to give it a good review, but honestly, this had some scary moments. And if you're into these kind of movies, if you're into the supernatural, paranormal type, borderline exorcism type movies, yeah, give it a watch. It's worth it.
Yeah.
I think so.
If you're into cop dramas with a little bit of supernatural twist.
Yeah, and I like that. I like horror movies that have the cop as the main character.
Oh, really?
You don't get that too much. And you can see that in my work because the script that I'm working on, my main script, the main character is an ex-cop. You can see that very clearly in my work. I like that because it gives you a little bit of action, and this movie has a little bit. It's not an action film, though. Overall, it's not an action film. I would not say, but
it was done well though. The action was done well.
Yes, for the most part. Some of the action scenes, the few that are in there, little shaky cam.
Yeah.
Particularly in one scene involving a knife fight, very flashy strobe lights. You can't really tell what in the world is going on. But it's cool. I like horror movies that has action scenes in them. That's cool. I like it. Gives it more excitement. Yeah, they literally just...
Because I was like, it follows a cop. What the hell is this cop doing in the desert?
Even before... yeah, exactly. It opens with a military operation going on. That was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got some cool stuff going for it. Okay, so we're not going to get much into the plot. It's what you would expect it to be plot-wise,
I will say, if you've seen the third Exorcist movie, the prequel that takes place in the desert, this movie does a lot of stuff, a lot of similarities between that. I don't know if that was intentional or coincidental, but it had a lot of similarities.
I never saw... I know the third Exorcist has George C. Scott in it, and I know that he apparently is really good in it, but I love George C. Scott, but I haven't seen that, so I can't give much input on it. The biggest problems with this movie, and this is the reason why I say it's just okay and it's not a great movie. Number one, this movie has some good creepy imagery, and it has some good camera work, and it has some haunting, eerie, atmospheric moments, and that's what I like. And also, the main character has a lot of psychological stuff going on, which I thought was really good. But the biggest problem I feel is that regardless of that, this movie still manages to have an unnecessary amount of jump scares.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and here's the thing. I will say, a couple of the jump scares are actually kind of effective. I actually thought they were kind of creepy. But most of them are that routine, by the numbers. It's the same old thing that you've seen in every horror film today. And it's so old that needs to stop. Do you have any word on that? I mean,
as far as the jump scares?
Mm-hmm.
I know Micah didn't like the jump scares, especially the fake out jump scares.
Yeah.
I was more okay with them in this movie because it was following a cop, and those are actually things that a cop would have to worry about, dogs and things of that nature that a cop would actually have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the paranormal jump scares, you could tell when it was coming. You could see when it was going to come.
There was never a jump scare that I didn't see coming. They're all so predictable. And even the ones I thought were okay are still by the numbers. And that kind of leads into the second biggest problem with this movie. It doesn't, even though it has some good stuff going for it, it doesn't go very far out of its way to be hugely unique.
Oh no, I thought they could have taken way more. I like what they did, and I like what they had going for them, but I thought they could have taken it more.
They could have taken things to a higher level.
Yeah.
I didn't it was also one of those climaxes. I didn't realize it was the climax until the climax was almost over. I was like, this is the exorcism. I thought they were still going to be like one more thing with the family. But no, like it's the climax. And it was one of those, I was like, this is the end of the movie. Okay. And that's the thing. This movie plays it a little safe. But you know what? Again, it does it fairly well, though. It's not annoying. It's not frustrating. It's not boring.
Oh, no, I thought it was entertaining.
It's got some... I do think... Do I turn right on Vine?
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly do think the scariest moments, though, in the movie were when they weren't trying to be too scary.
Like
a lot of the dialogue between the cop and the priest. A lot of that stuff, and just whenever there's just talking going on and you have some creepy music in the background, those to me were the best parts. Whereas not a part where you just know they're building up a jump scare. Like they're in a dark room, there's flashlights. The flashlight stuff was getting really old too.
Not unusual for a cop in a dark area, though.
I know, but I'm just speaking as a horror film.
Yeah, I know.
As a film, that gets old fast.
I did notice that they liked descents in narrow areas. They started the movie off with it, and they did it a few more times in the movie. Mm-hmm. They really liked descents in narrow areas.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just a theme they were going for there in the movie.
I think it's kind of just a scare tactic, if anything. Probably. Yeah, I noticed that.
I do love that they used the doors.
That was weird, but I have to admit I haven't seen something like that in a horror film before. So
you don't know how that stuff presents itself.
The demons in this movie, or the demon, because there's one primary demon.
Remember, the guy could hear it because he had like a spiritual clairvoyance of some kind.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
but he picked up on it. He would hear the Doors.
The band.
The band.
Jim Morrison.
The Doors songs playing. And I thought that was neat because no one said clairvoyance has to be the same old thing.
Yeah, sure.
It could be something
I thought
totally
that was
weird.
just so bizarre.
Yeah.
And it not necessarily in a bad way, just in a weird way where I haven't seen that before. So that was kind of unique. At the same time, it's a little offsetting when you have an intense scene going on and then suddenly Break On Through to the Other Side starts playing really loudly. I was like, what? But so that
if you took any of the lyrics to a Doors song and put it in a different tone of music, it'd be really creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was neat. I thought it was something different.
It was a different approach, and I'll give them credit for that.
They may have followed the book on a lot of other stuff, but that they actually tried something. Kudos to that.
Yeah. So there's really not much to say. I mean, this Again, it's not a great film. It's not going to go on like the top 10 best list by any means, but
as far as horror movies.
Horror and
this year.
Yeah, this year. I mean, I just meant this year in general movies. But it was fine. If you're not a big fan of horror, but maybe you're a little bit interested, I wouldn't recommend it because it's still very by the numbers. So I wouldn't recommend it then. But if you're into these kind of movies, yeah, check it out. It's got some good camera work. It's got some scary moments. It's got good acting. And
I love the
To
acting.
touch on the characters, I thought the main two characters. The main character is a sergeant in the NYPD, and the other character is like this
badass
undercover street priest.
He was awesome.
But he was cool. Like, he actually was kind of cool. But I liked that those characters, and they're both based on real people, and I like those characters because the characters are flawed. They're flawed people like any of us are, but in a way that makes them relatable, not in a way that makes them annoying. And, you know, the pastor in particular, you know, he's he's a pastor trying to live a righteous life, but he's a very flawed man. But again, in a realistic way, and in a way that doesn't make him a jerk, but in a way that makes him sympathetic and likable, and a character that you root for the movie. I thought it worked really well, and I thought the two had good arcs, and I thought the two had good chemistry together as like a team up, you know? So yeah, I actually liked that a lot. Again, the biggest two problems is too many jump scares, and even though it does some unique stuff, it just doesn't go all the way. It doesn't go all out. It still plays it safe, and a lot of it is still by the numbers. So in the end of it all, it doesn't leave a huge impression on you, but you know what? It was okay. This one was okay.
I gotta say, I liked the imagery.
Yeah, like I said, it has some creepy imagery.
Well, I mean, you had the religious stuff. Did you catch some of the less half subtle stuff, like the other police officer, how he had the 7 deadly sins tattooed on the back of his neck?
Oh, I did not notice that.
Yeah,
no.
Stuff like that.
It was kind of hard.
Take a left.
It was kind of hard for me to spot.
No, keep going straight.
It was kind of hard for me to spot the little things because it was so darkly lit.
Yeah, it was a little
it fits the tone of the movie, I guess.
I love
for dark Bronx, New York.
I don't know why, but I love the face paint the guy had, the soldier had in the beginning. And how he carries that through.
Yeah, it sticks on him.
Got the scars.
The soldier was creepy. The main soldier,
cool.
who's basically he's the main possessed guy, so he's like the main antagonist. He was pretty creepy, I thought.
All the way from beginning to end.
Now, there's some other possessed characters in the movie. Some of them were fine. The possessed woman, she was a mixed bag with me because she had some creepy moments, but at the same time she was camping it up. So there were other times where you just couldn't help but laugh at it at what was unintentionally funny. It wasn't like, it kind of reminded me almost as like the mom from The Devil Inside, where like it's kind of creepy, but it's just so over the top that you just can't help but laugh at it when it's supposed to be like terrifying.
You've got some creepy moments, yes, but you're too, I can't take you seriously.
Like, I thought it was really good when she's in the cell and she just like starts that chant and she starts to like yell and like raise her arms. I thought that was actually really freaky. But then it's like ruined when the main character has a stupid moment and he reaches his arm out to her and she bites it. I was like, what are you doing? But yeah, besides that one scene, the main character he was pretty smart. He didn't do anything like really that stupid. I'll ask you this. So the main character, the cop, he has a partner throughout the film who's kind of wisecracking, making jokes, and they're in New York, and he has a Red Sox hat on. He was actually pretty funny, but I just knew he was gonna die. I was just waiting for him to die. Yeah. To give him credit, it took a while. Like, he doesn't die until halfway into the film.
That death scene was brutal.
And his death scene is brutal. He gets into a fight, knife fight. But
the other guy's a tomahawk.
Yeah. He's using two knives. The villain's using a tomahawk. But yeah, like, and actually to go along with that with the humor, I actually thought a lot of the jokes were pretty funny.
Yeah, they were.
Surprisingly, there was some good comic relief in this.
The humor was very well done.
So, yeah, that's really all there is to say. It's serviceable. I would recommend it if you're interested.
Yeah.
If the trailer didn't turn you on, if you're not really into these movies, definitely skip it. But don't go out of your way to see this. Try to catch a cheap showing. Try to go to a matinee, $5 showing. I don't know if I would say it's quite worth the full ticket price.
No.
It's definitely worth a Redbox rental, that's for sure.
I
would
if
give
I
it
saw it in the store for a reasonable price, I'd buy it.
A very reasonable, yeah, maybe like a cheap DVD.
Yeah.
I would give it like a C+.
I liked it. I'd probably give C+, low B. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Okay, well, that's really all there is to Deliver Us from Evil. Let's see, Planet of the Apes is coming out soon. Purge is coming out soon. I want to see Joe. Still haven't gotten the chance to yet, so I'll have a few more reviews. New Nicolas Cage drama. It's supposed to be really good.
Really?
Yeah, getting really good reviews. So I'll have some new reviews up soon. So thanks for watching. See ya.